everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making this beautiful hat. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's very easy to make. It's very light, it's very airy, and you can do it in no time. Okay, now I know it's winter time and this is not a very wintry hat at all, but nonetheless it's good to be summer somewhere, so let's do it. So what you'll need for this hat is your wool. So I've got this leftover yarn, so again it's a leftover project, so I'm going to be doing it with the blue one and then a little bit of a pink. Now again, if you just want to do it all in one color, you don't actually need two colors. Okay, so that's what you're going to need. I'm going to be using a 4mm hook, so you're going to need that. You're also going to need yarning needle and a pair of scissors, and that's pretty much it. You're going to need a will to do it and mug of motivation. Basically, get yourself a brew. If you're all ready for it, go and put your kettle on, and I'm quickly gonna go through the pattern and basically our rows and what we're going to be doing. So I did showed you guys this pattern for the previous hat, so it's very similar to this. We're going to follow this pattern, and I know some of you might not actually understand this, but that's okay. I'm going to talk you through, and you're going to see it's going to be very easy. So we're going to start with a magic circle, then we're going to have the first row of double crochets with chain 2, then we're going to have the second row where we're going to start increasing our work, and the same as before, we're going to increase it by doing 2 double crochets with chains 2 in each of the spaces, and so on. So basically that's the pattern we're going to be following. Another thing that I need to show you guys, it's also the hat measurements. Okay, so depending, and these are all in centimeters, so depending what size hat you want to do, you need to follow these dimensions. Ages 6 to 12 months. Okay, so the crown needs to be 12 to 13 centimeters. If you're a little bit under, a little bit over, don't worry too much about it. Just don't go like a centimeter or more over. Okay, and this is the height of the hat, and the head circumference, you know what I mean, is 36 to 40. Okay, and that's what I'll be making now. So I'll be making 6 to 12 months. If you want to make for an adult, again, just make sure that you've got the dimensions of the adult that you want to make and just follow those. I'm going to leave that for a second so you can maybe pause the video so you can have a look at it, and maybe keep this as well. Okay, so that's what I'll be making. We're going to start with the crown first. So pick the size of the crown to go with the age you want to be doing. So I'm going to be making 6 to 12 months. So I need roughly about 12 to 13 centimeters crown, and that's what I'll be doing. And then what I'm going to do is, as I finish mine, I'm going to just tell you how you can increase the crown more in order to cater for bigger hats. Okay, so to start with this work, what we'll need to do is we need to create a magic ring. So I've recently watched some short videos, and I have found a different way to do a magic ring than the one I've showed you previously, and I find it a little bit easier. So I'm going to show you, and then I hope you're going to find it easy as well. So put your yarn like so, okay, around on top of your index finger, and then your tail, you're going to wrap it around that finger to form a little X like so. Insert your hook underneath that first loop, and pick up a loop. Okay, at the back find the working yarn. Okay, yarn over and pull through, and there you have it. That's your magic ring. So if you pull on the tail, you're going to notice that your magic ring is getting smaller. Okay, so next we're gonna chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and what we'll do is we're gonna count this as a double crochet plus 2. Next thing, we need to do 5 double crochets with chain 2 into this magic ring. Now if your ring is a little bit smaller, you can actually pull on one side and make it bigger, or if it's a little bit bigger like this and you find it sort of hard to work in, just go ahead and tighten it a little bit. Now I'm going to be working over my tail because I want to hide it. You don't have to. Okay, so we're going to put 5 double crochets with chain 2. To do double crochet, just yarn over, insert your hook into that ring, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you've got, oops, let me hold them. Now you've got 3 loops on your hook. Okay, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain 2. Okay, let's do that again. Yarn over, okay, insert your hook into that magic ring, yarn over, pull up a loop. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain 2. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, which means that we need to do 3 more. So go ahead and finish this row. So you're gonna, by the end of the row, you should have 6 double crochets with chain 2. Remember that the first chains that we did count as double crochet. Okay, so I'm at my last one. So this is my 6th, chain 2, and we're gonna finish this row by doing a slip stitch in the 2nd chain from the at the beginning. So this is 1, 2. So in this one here, because we had that original one, so we are not going to count that. We're going to count the one we've made. So that's 1, 2. So in this one here, I'm going to insert my hook like so, yarn over, pull up a loop, okay, and then I'm going to pull that loop through the other one to make the slip stitch. Okay. Now your work at the end of that row should look something like this, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull my tail to tighten that circle. Now some of you might like to have a little bit of a circle in the middle there, and if you do, you don't need to tighten that tail that hard like I have. You can actually leave a little opening. This is totally dependent on you. You might want to leave a little opening if you want to put up maybe pom-pom at the top of it, but as I said, totally up to you. Okay, as you can see on my hat that I've made earlier, that these holes are going sort of like diagonally, so they're not going parallel, they're very much diagonal. And to do that, we need to move from this space, we need to move into that next chain space. To do that, we're going to do a slip stitch into that next chain. So go ahead, insert your yarn, insert your hook into that next chain space and make a slip knot. So now we've moved a place. We're going to chain 2 plus 2. So this is your double crochet plus 2, and this is the row where we're going to be doing increases, which means into this same chain space we're gonna make another double crochet, chain 2. Okay, so we've got 2 into that same space. We're gonna repeat that all around, which means we're gonna do a double crochet into that next chain space, chain 2, oops, and another double crochet into that chain space. So you're gonna have 2. So each chain space will get 2 double crochet. Now we've started with 6, so the next row will actually have 12 double crochet. When you finish that row, so that's going to be into this chain space, you're going to finish with a double crochet chain 2, double crochet chain 2, and we're going to connect that to the chain spaces that we did at the beginning. So go ahead, follow this pattern all around, and I'm going to meet you once you are at the end of row 2, and we're going to start row 3 together. Come to almost the end of that row, and what I'm left to do is just to do my last double crochet in the chain 2, and then connect this in the chain 2 space from our starting chain with a slip stitch. So go ahead and do that in your work, and we're gonna start on the next row. Again, we don't want to be going parallel to that chain space, which means that we need to move one space to the left. To do that, we're going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch, just to move a little bit to the left side. Now that we have, we're gonna again chain 2 plus 2. I don't even know why I said that, it's just chain 4, isn't it? Okay, now this row will be slightly different. Again, we're going to be doing increases, but not as many, well, not as we did in the previous row. What we'll do in this row is we're going to do a double crochet chain 1, and that's our starting chain there. Then in the next chain space, we're going to do a double crochet chain 2 and another double crochet chain 2 into that same space. Then in the next space, we're going to do double crochet chain 2, then an increase in the next space, and so on. So we're going to do one chain space without increase and another one with an increase, without, with, and so on. So we're going to count this as a double crochet, which means now we are coming to this chain space and we need to do the increase. So we're going to do double crochet chain 2 and another double crochet chain 2 into that same space. Okay, chain 2. So now we've come to the next chain space and we're just going to do double crochet chain 2. Then we're going to do an increase in the next one, which means double crochet chain 2 and another double crochet chain 2. Okay, so follow this pattern all around this row. So you're going to do double crochet chain 2, then 2 double crochets with chains 2 in between, double crochet chain 2, 2 double crochets with chains 2, and so on. And I'm going to meet you once you are coming to the end. Once you come to the end chain space, that's going to be this one here, you're going to finish with 2 double crochets with chain spaces in between. At the end of that row, you will have 18 double crochets. So keep crocheting, and I'm gonna meet you at the end of this row. So I'm coming towards the end of row 3. All I need to do is to finish it with a double crochet, chain 2, and then connect this with a slip stitch to the second chain of our starting chain that we've made. There we go. Now, same thing as before, we do need to move one space to the left, which means that we're gonna do a slip stitch into that next stitch. That just to move one space, like so. Go ahead and start row 4 by chaining 4. We're gonna count this as a double crochet plus 2. This is another row of increase that we're gonna do. However, these increase, we're going to do them slightly different again. So what we'll do is we're going to have a double crochet, chain 2 in the first chain space, then a double crochet, chain 2 in the second, and then a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet, chain 2 in the third chain space. And we're going to continue with that pattern all around for row number 4. Remember, this chain that we've just done counts as a double crochet plus 2, which means the next double crochet, chain 2, is going to be in the next chain space. So go ahead and make that. Okay, now we are at the third chain space, so we're going to do double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet into that same space, chain 2. So let's repeat that pattern. You're gonna have double crochet, chain 2, in the next chain space we're gonna have another double crochet, chain 2, and in the third one we're gonna have double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet, chain 2. So continue with this pattern all along row number 4, and I'm gonna meet you once you are at the last chain space. You're gonna finish this row with 2 double crochets with chains 2 in between. Remember that for this row you will have 24 double crochets when you finish. So go ahead, continue with this pattern for row 4, and I'm gonna start row 5 with you. I'm coming towards the end of row 4, so I've done my 2 last double crochets with chain 2, so all I'm left to do is just to slip stitch it to that second chain of a beginning chain. Now, as we did before, we're gonna make a slip stitch in the chain next to it because we want to move our work a little bit to the left to give it this diagonal look. And go ahead and chain 4. Now, this is where some of our work might actually differ depending on the size of the hat that you're making. I'm going to show you the dimensions again and explain why. Let me just take that hook out. Okay, so I'm making a hat for a child 6 to 12 months, which means that my crown needs to be 12 to 13 centimeters. If I get my measuring tape now and measure it, you're going to notice that my crown is about 10 centimeters, which means that I need to add 2 more. So probably the next row is going to be my last row of increase. Now, if you are making a hat for a newborn or 0 to 6 months, you might want to stop with the increases now, because if you keep on doing increases, that hat is going to be too big then. So if you're doing a newborn or 0 to 6 months, I would encourage you to stop with the increases and start doing the height, which is something that I'm going to do on row 6. So you might want to fast forward the video then. If you're doing a hat for 6 to 12 months, follow me and you can do the rows that I'm making. If you're making a hat for somebody older, you might want to do even more increases, but I'm gonna talk you through it once we finish row number 5. And let's continue. So row number 5, another row of increase. How we're gonna do it? We're gonna have double crochet chain 2, double crochet chain 2 in the next space, double crochet chain 2 in the third space, and we're going to do the increases into this 4th chain space. So every 4th chain space is going to be an increase. So let's do the beginning together. So we're going to count this chain as a double crochet. So that's 1, this is 2, and then chain 2, then double crochet into that 3rd chain space with chain 2, and now we've come to the 4th chain space, which is our increase chain space. So we're gonna do a double crochet, oops, sorry, I got lost there for a moment. Okay, so we're gonna do a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet, chain 2 into that chain space. So this is our increase, and we're going to continue with that pattern. So you're going to have double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, not chain 1, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2 in this 4th chain space. You're going to have 2 double crochets with 2 chain spaces in between. Continue on that pattern, and I'm going to meet you once you're coming to the end of row 5. We're going to finish this together, and then we're going to start on row 6 together. I've come to end of row 5, and I've finished with 2 double crochets with a 2 chain space in that last chain space. You should have done the same if you're doing the increase, and let's connect this with a slip stitch to that first chain we've made, and we're going to move our work a little bit to the left by doing a slip stitch in the next chain, like so. Go ahead and chain 4. Again, this is going to count as a double crochet with chain 2, and after this row I'm just gonna measure my work one more time just to make sure that I've got the size I want. So I've got 12 centimeters, which is perfect for the size that I'm making. Now I'm gonna start the height of my hat next. If you're making a hat for an older child or for an adult, you will want to do an increase. So as I said before, this is where I'm stopping. If you need to make your crown bigger, you're going to continue with the increase. I'm quickly going to show you how the increases work when it comes to making your circles. So 1 second, I do have like a little, okay. So when it comes to increases, we've sort of stopped here when you had double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, and then an increase. The next row will be 4 double crochets and then an increase. The 6th row of increase will be 5 double crochet, then an increase, and so on. I hope you are sort of understanding the pattern that we are making, and that's going to make your circle bigger. Okay, so what we're going to do for the height of our hat is something slightly different. So you're going to need to start with chain 3 actually. So go ahead and take 1. So you need a chain of 3. So that's going to count as a double crochet plus 1. And go ahead and make a double crochet, chain 1 in the next chain space, and another double crochet, chain 1 in the following. So keep on going until you reach the end of that row. Once you finish this row, you're going to connect it to this, to the second chain, okay, which is there, with a slip stitch, and then you're going to do another slip stitch in this next chain just to move your work a little bit on the left, and you're going to chain 3 and continue with this pattern until you have your desired height of the hat. I'm gonna do about 4 or 5 of these rows, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swap my yarn and I'm gonna do a different color. So I'm gonna do a pink, couple of rows of pink, and then I'm gonna finish my work. So I'm just gonna quickly show you again. So I'm gonna do about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 rows of the blue. I'm gonna swap it with a pink and do another 5 rows of pink, and then we're gonna finish it together. I'm gonna meet you here when I'm swapping the yarn so I can show you how I do it to make sure that it's seamless. So as you can see, it's yeah, you can't really tell where I've done it, and I'm going to show you how I've done that, and we're going to continue on our work. Now you can choose to do just one color, and if you do that, just continue crocheting until you have the size or the height that you need for your project. So keep crocheting, and I'm going to meet you very shortly. Just remember, when you are finishing, to finish with double crochet, chain 2 in that last space, connect it with a slip stitch to this chain 2 space here, and then you're going to do another slip stitch in the following chain to move your work. You're going to do that on every row. So keep crocheting, and I'm going to meet you shortly. So I'm coming to the end of that row 5 from my height rows of repeat, and I'm just going to connect this to the chain 2, okay, from that original chain that we made, and then we need to do a slip stitch there to start on the next row. However, I'm going to be swapping my yarn and I'm going to be using this pink one. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I'm going to do that. First of all, I'm just going to start with the starting chain. I can just take my hook out actually. Okay, so we're just going to make that. Whoops. Okay, let's do that again. Take 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this as it is. Next, I need to do the slip stitch to the next chain space to move. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook in there, and then I'm going to pick up the pink one, and I'm going to pull it out, and then oops, okay, I'm going to slip stitch it to that chain there. And there you have it. So I'm just gonna tuck in my blue one in the hat so it doesn't interfere anymore, and I'm gonna be using this pink yarn, and again I'm gonna chain 3 and continue on my rows of repeat, which is the double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet, chain 1, and so on. So I'm coming to the end of my row of pink. I have done my last double crochet into that last chain space, and I'm going to connect this with a slip stitch the same way we've been doing throughout this project. The next thing is we need to do the next slip stitch to the left to bring our work a little bit to the side. And this time, rather than taking that pink, because I'm going to be changing my yarn to blue, I'm going to make the first chain like I did previously for the pink. Okay, but this time it's going to be the blue. And then I'm going to connect this again the same way as I did with the pink one, which is insert my hook into that next chain, pull the blue, okay, and then do the slip stitch with the pink one like so. And I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to pull that yarn because I want to show you my hat so far. So this is it, and I'm just gonna show you my measurements as well so you can sort of have an idea. So this is, there you go, 14 centimeters. So I'm just gonna do the edging there, and it's gonna be sort of 14.5, which is perfect for the hat that I want to make. Again, if you're making a bigger hat, keep on going with those rows until you have the height that you need for your hat, and then you can come back to see the edging and how we're going to do that. Now, before I do anything, I'm just going to make sure that these two are tight on the back, because I don't want anything to be coming loose. And let's do the last row, and this is the edge. So we're gonna start with a single crochet into that chain space that we've just come from. Now, if you would like to place a stitch marker here, by all means place a stitch marker, because you're gonna have to slip stitch into that first stitch here that we've made once we've come to the end, and sometimes it can be a little bit hard to see which one it is. So again, if you're not confident in finding it, please place the stitch marker there. You can actually use a leftover yarn for it. So I've got some of these purple ones. I'm just quickly going to show you. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can just insert your hook there and then weave in a piece of yarn, and you can use this as a stitch marker like that. So I'm going to leave this for now, but it's just an idea. If you're confident with it, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's start on the pattern for the border. We're going to do a single crochet into that next chain space. So my pink yarn is on the back, so we're going to do a single crochet into that next chain space. We're going to chain 3, and we're going to do another single crochet into that same space like so. Let's do that again. So in the next chain space, do a single crochet, chain 3, and do another single crochet into that chain space, and there you have it. And continue on that pattern and make it into each of the chain spaces, and I'm gonna meet you once we've come to the last chain space, and we're gonna finish the border together. So I'm coming to the end of my border. I've done my single crochet, chain 3, and I'm going to do another single crochet into this last chain space. And remember, on the first chain space we only did the single crochet, which means that we need to do another single crochet, chain 3, and then slip stitch this to where we put our stitch marker. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take mine, and I'm just gonna do a slip stitch there. I'm gonna pull, oh, okay, I need to cut my yarn first before I pull it. Okay, I'm gonna just pull that yarn, and I'm gonna weave in the ends. I still need to cut some of the leftover yarn on the back, but I'm quickly going to show you what our hat looks like at the moment. Okay, so this is our hat. Next thing we're going to do like a little, what should we call it? Like a little ribbon sort of thing that we can weave in the middle of this pink row here. So to do that, I'm just going to put the hat to the side, and basically what I've done for that is just a simple chain, really, and this is something that you can measure on your hat and on how big your chain will be, but yeah, it's just a normal chain. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the chain, and then you can just weave it in. Let me just do a couple of more, and I'm just quickly going to show you how we're going to do it. So what I've done is just weave it into this chain spaces like so. So go ahead and do that, and I'm going to place a, oops, so I just go like this, and I'm going to place a flower that I have made. So I've got a tutorial for this flower as well, which I'm going to link in the information just below. So I'm going to place that flower there, and I'm going to take pictures for the end result. I'm going to quickly go and do that, and I'm going to show you the pictures at the end. And there you have it, guys. So I've weaved in the ribbon that we've made, and I've attached my flower. I know it's a little bit big, but I do like when they're big and bold. I think it makes a really nice statement. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you like this pattern. I absolutely love it, and I think the hat looks fab. This hat, as I said to you earlier, it's for ages 6 to 12 months that I've made. And as a comparison, I did say my other hat is for 6 to 12, but it's not. It's actually for 1 to 3. So this is slightly bigger. And I'm gonna just show you. Okay, if you do one more row of increase, you're gonna get a bigger hat like this one. Okay, I hope you can see the differences on the side and so on. The flowers are, well, this one is a little bit smaller than this, but I will include the video tutorial for the flowers as well, so you can make them. They are super duper easy as well. And yeah, if you did like my video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. And I hope to see you very soon. I hope I've got another hat tutorial coming in, because I'm in the middle of doing a project with a hat, and I will be having another cardigan tutorial as well coming out. So thank you all for doing this with me, and I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope to see you soon as well. Thank you, and bye bye.